as we're getting ready for this weekend, team with the biggest chance of getting upset, and your most likely Super Bowl matchup. Now you get because you get the preseason. Now it's a do-over.
I think the team that could get upset could be Seattle. The Rams and Seattle have split the last 2 years. The Rams are very, very good on defense, playing great pass defense. And, of course, with Aaron Donald, you've always got an outstanding defense.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Jared Goff's going to be back in the lineup or not, but they run the ball extremely well. That would be the team that, Seattle could get upset. Actually, Russell Wilson, he's gotten into a little bit of a bad habit, in my opinion. He tries to extend every play to get the big play. He is so good on the deep ball, throwing deep. But, he really tried. A lot of times he'll start to scramble when there's no pressure.
Right. Just
to buy time for, Metcalf or Lockett to get deep.
Yeah.
And try to get the big play.
Yeah.
Well, against that Ram defense, I don't know if he's going to be able to do it. They're pretty good. So that might be the one that could be upset.
Now, I think sometimes with Russ, it's interesting because I played against him a lot of years, and it was like he always tried to find that B gap step up lane where he goes 3 step, drop targets 8, 9, whatever it is, climb to 5, and then let that left end kind of run the horn. And then he kind of hides behind the guard and finds his throwing window.
It's the crease, right?
I think sometimes I'm not saying he can't see in the pocket. I mean, he can definitely see in the pocket. He's freaking MVP candidate almost every year.
Right.
But I think sometimes he likes to find that window. And to your point, it's the same thing. He wants to take a shot and find the window. But it's frustrating because it was like for half the year he was in MVP form, and then I thought he started to do too much. He started to try to make those MVP plays instead of, leaving the craps table, so to speak.
Yeah. How many times do you ever see him take a 7-step drop and progression 1, 2, 3, throw the ball?
Yeah, no, it's more often than not he's trying to extend.
Yeah. And I think he's made a lot of great plays. Don't get me wrong, and he is a great player, but I think against a great defense, that can get you in trouble.
Yeah, it's not the weak. Absolutely. How about your most likely Super Bowl matchup? Who's going to be down in Tampa, you think?
Oh boy, this is such a hard one.
It's a crapshoot.
I've got to go Green Bay, and you know what? I'm going to throw one out. I'm going to go Green Bay Buffalo.
There we go. That's my dream Super Bowl. Because, hey, listen. I mean, there's two fan bases, two of the best in the league, fan base wise, and two of the most exciting. I mean, you could make an argument that Josh Allen has been just as exciting as Mahomes this year.
Yeah. And really maybe even playing better at this stage of the season.
This stage of the season, I would definitely agree with you. I mean, the way the Chiefs have been, do you think that's a good or a bad thing when a team, would you rather coach a team that's never won a close game? Like the Chiefs have won by an average of 4 points the second half of the season. People are now saying, hey, they're not blowing people out. That doesn't impress me. But then when you coach a team probably that doesn't get tested, people hold that against you too. So what's better? If you have the luxury of choosing, hey, do we lose here? Do we play a close game? What does your team need to have seen before they go into the playoffs?
Yeah, I just want the most talented team,
there we go.
whichever one that is.
There we go.
And as far as Kansas City, I think, it's almost, they have got such confidence that sometimes in fact, it was last week, they ran some weird play down on the goal line. It was almost like they were toying. They were just having fun.
Mm-hmm.
And so at times they play and they don't play with a sense of urgency.
Right.
That doesn't mean that they can't. When they need to have it, they are talented enough to make it happen.
Yeah.
But sometimes things go against you. And when you play them that close, sometimes you can do everything right, and the opponent is just good enough to make a big play. And so if you play them that tight, sometimes you're better off. You can't take your foot off the pedal. I don't care how talented you are.
Yeah.
And so again, I haven't really answered your question, but I think that's what I see with Kansas City right now.
Yeah, which is why
now with Buffalo, I don't see them taking the foot off the pedal.
No, and that's what impressed me about Buffalo late in the year. Like they didn't just first it was San Francisco. Oh, this is gonna be a tight game. Kick the doors off San Francisco, right? Then it was New England. They're New England. Remember earlier this year, they if Cam doesn't fumble, they beat him in the rain. They're still New England. Okay, they kicked the doors off New England. Like, how many times is New England a touchdown dog in division in history, like in the Bill Belichick era? It's totally new. And then last week in a game that it would have been easy for those players, and you know this because you probably had buys and all types of things with regularity, they got those guys to go out there and play hard in a game that they didn't have to win, and they kicked the shit out of Miami too. So I think handling your business when you're supposed to is impressive to me.
Well, you look at this, you look at the mental state right now of Kansas City and of Buffalo.
Yeah.
The mental state for Buffalo right now is, hey, we want Kansas City.
Yeah.
We can beat that bunch.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Kansas City's mental state might be, geez, that bunch up in Buffalo is pretty good.
Yeah.
So there's a little seed of doubt there.
Yeah.
And so it'll be interesting. And, of course, you never can tell. One of them could get bumped out right off the bat.
Exactly. But, I mean, the Colts are no walk in the park, and that's why I thought that the boredom conversation that we were just having, I think, like Kansas City needed that bye as much as anybody because of the likelihood in 4 games of them having an off day, like last year, off day against Deshaun Watson in Houston. They barely survived. They get down 10 points to Tennessee. You can't win that way year after year. So that's all. How about the whole tanking thing, the whole Eagles thing? I'm gonna be kind to people and talk about it one more time because I'm so over the whole conversation. But with you as a coach, in your years of coaching, did you think tanking existed in the league? Like, have you seen tanking at a macro level?
No, you really, not tanking, but a team that was out of it. I can see, the head coach and the general manager and the owner sit down, say, hey, this week we want to see this player. We want to see this player. There's no need playing Fletcher Cox. There's no need playing this guy. There's no need playing this guy. And so having it all scripted out as far as who you want to see, if you want to see young players, et cetera, et cetera. Now, the after effect of that is, that you get a better draft pick, if you don't win the game. But that may not be, number one, that's not the thing that you go into it thinking. And without question, that's not the thing that you address afterwards.
Well, maybe the GM goes in thinking it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll give you a perfect example. I had players like, for instance, Jack Del Rio. I didn't realize it. And had I realized it, I wouldn't have done it. We were going to have to, give a draft pick for, Tony Casillas to Atlanta if he got so much play time. Mm-hmm. Well, I said him, that last game. I said, you're not going to play in this last game because I didn't want to give Atlanta a number 2 draft pick.
Right.
Instead, I gave him a number 3 draft pick because his playtime was down.
Right.
Well, I also said Jack Del Rio. Well, and Jack got all upset at me, and I didn't realize because I just pulled a bunch of guys out, and I was protecting Jack, for the playoffs.
Yeah.
And as it turned out, he lost a bunch of money in incentives because it was on playtime. Mm-hmm. But I didn't even know, the incentive.
So you guys don't always know the incentive thing because it's so funny to me because I always say I tell a story about Bill Belichick who. Me and him had a really good relationship, but I wasn't one of the stars on the team or anything like that. And my last game, there was no reason. They easily could have pulled me. I had a nice bonus, and they played me like the whole game. And I wanted to go thank Bill, but I don't even know. Well, up there, Bill does all, right. You guys don't know that all the time, the incentives and that sort of thing.
And, I probably knew it when we did the contract, years before.
Yeah.
But, I don't keep account of, what the playtime percentage is on every player and et cetera, et cetera. I just pulled out Jack, just to protect him.
Yeah.
But he was pissed.
Yeah.
Because I cost him some money.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Now, Casillas, he was happy. He didn't want to play anyway. But now Atlanta was all upset because if he had played, I'd have had to give him a second-round draft pick rather than a third-round pick.
Before I let you go, I want to try one take on you, and you tell me if I'm batshit crazy, okay? It's a Larry Allen conversation, okay?
Okay.
And how many years did you coach Larry Allen?
No, Larry was after me.
So he was after you.
Yeah.
But you're familiar with how fast Troy Aikman was and what he ran the 40 in, and you probably know what Larry Allen ran the 40 in and all that.
Yeah.
You remember the Saints play where he runs down the linebacker on the left sideline.
Oh, yes. I remember. Right. Okay.
With the angle. Okay. I had a hot take last week because I was looking at the video game. I don't think the play's as impressive as people are making it out to be right now. That's not to say Larry Allen's not the baddest man on the planet or could beat me in a foot race at this age.
He was a bad man, I will say that.
He's a bad man with Jamma. But he had the angle, and linebackers back then were not as fast as they are now, and Troy was running step for step with him behind him.
Okay.
So how fast did Troy Aikman really run the 40 to settle this?
At the start of his career or at the end of his career?
Well,
at the end of his
whenever he was running behind Larry Allen.
So I think he was toward the end of the career.
Yeah.
So he probably wasn't running real fast.
That's what I'm saying, dude. Listen, Larry Allen is incredibly fast for his build and everything. But there's guys now in this league. Larry Allen was 330, right? Do you think that's what he weighed about?
Yeah, about like that. Yeah.
And that was a big man in the 90s, right? Was that still a big man?
Please, humongous.
So now 330 is it's all over the field.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that was I'm glad to know. Okay, so Troy ran what? North of 5 flat or sub 5 flat at the end of his career?
He's going to get all upset at me, Chris. You're going to get Troy mad at
you in a bad spot.
If I want to make him happy, I'd say he ran
4.9.
a 4.5.
Oh.
But, no, he coming out, he probably ran 4.7.
That's pretty damn good.
Yeah. I mean, coming out, that's coming out of college.
I know. I'm trying to compliment our guy before we tear him down and say at the end of his career it was maybe a 4.951.
After Philadelphia sacked him 11 times his rookie year, he probably ran about a 5.5.
That's so good. Well, you heard it. You heard it here, sort of, that I'm not crazy. I think that, you had some fun players.
I know this.
Yeah.
I know Don Beebe can outrun Leon Lett.
I know that too. I know that too. We know that well.